Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is Gameonicist, aka Janet Garcia.
Yo, what's good?
Not much, Janet. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, I admittedly just got up not too long ago. I made some waffles that I probably didn't really have time to eat, so I'm here and
What
I'm
kind of
ready to talk about
waffles?
things. Just Eggo waffles. I just popped them in the toaster. I
Lego
didn't
Some
make
Lego
them.
My
It's
Eggo?
it's a lot.
Yeah,
Do you
nice.
count that as
Classic.
making them? If you heat it, can you does it count as making something if you're just heating it?
Casually, sure. Like I wasn't questioning it when you said you made waffles. I assumed like there were some microwave waffles. I didn't assume that
Yeah.
you like went and like made the waffles from scratch and then got a
Like
fucking
Sunday
waffle
morning
cooker.
style, just on a Wednesday.
Blessing, what kind
Yeah,
of micro?
right before
What kind
KFTV.
of waffles you microwaving?
I do microwave my Eggo waffles. I'm not gonna lie.
Why?
It's the thing
Do
I've
you have
been
a
judged
toaster?
for. At my current house or my current apartment, I do not have a toaster. I have had toasters in the past, but I would still microwave my Eggo waffles because they'd be all soft
What?
and fluffy. Yeah,
That's weird.
I know. I've
No.
always been judged for this. Is something that like I know is shameful. I know it's like a thing that's gonna gross people out. But like
Yeah, that's
all throughout
weird.
my childhood and going into my adulthood, I've always microwaved my Eggo waffles. They're so fluffy that way.
So
It's like eating pillows.
did you turn the box on the side? You read the directions and you were like, nah, fuck that. We're doing our own
I mean, as a
thing.
kid, I couldn't read those directions. Like I was at that point, I was just doing what I was told to do. Which this started as a thing that like I think my parents and my sisters were doing because I have 3 older sisters, right? I think like if I this goes all the way back to my childhood, right? I imagine that they were doing it and I started doing it because they were doing it. But then I'll talk to other kids at my school about like, oh man, I love chocolate chip waffles. I love waffles. Yeah, but when I microwave my waffle, and they're like, wait, hold on. Did you say microwave? And I'm like, yeah, you guys microwave your waffle. How else do you make waffles? And they're like a toaster. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Why haven't you just pivoted over though? Because I think we've all had things that we did that we realized weren't the best way to do things. Like for a long time, like I would microwave my pizza rolls because it's easier, which is still true. Like, and I get if you do that because it is indeed easier. But when you cook them in the oven, they taste so much better. So now I'm just like
Yeah, but
all
that
on
takes more
team
time.
oven. It does, but it's worth it. Like it took me so long. It took me like 20 years to really be like, all right, let me give this oven thing a consistent go. And it's really not that much more work because if you heat them in the microwave, you got to do that ring of 6 in waves or else like half of them come out cold if you don't do that. So the amount of time you're spending, it's less time, but it's more active effort.
here's the
The
thing.
point is use the toaster.
I
Buy a
know,
toaster.
but here's my thing, right? You
That's
asked
kind of funny. Send you a toaster.
you asked why not just switch over. It's the fact that I like the microwave
Yeah, I
more
feel
than I like
even
them
if we
toasted.
send him the toaster, he's not going to use it. He's
I'm
still
not
gonna use
using
the
that damn
microwave.
toaster.
Yeah.
I like the microwave Eggo waffles. And
How do you
people in
eat your
chat are like,
bagels?
people
Just
in
leave them in the
chat.
sun.
No, I do toast my bagels. If people in chat are like, are you eating soggy waffles? And no, the answer is no. Only the bottom waffle is soggy on the
that's
plate.
gross.
So is that? Are you throwing
is
that one
soggy.
away? Or are you just wasting a waffle for your like weird?
It depends on how I'm feeling. It depends on how I'm feeling during the day. Some
Blessing,
days I'm like, I'm
how
gonna
are
eat
you
the
an
soggy
adult?
last waffle.
How are you
waffle,
an
you're,
adult?
you're putting syrup on the fucking waffles anyway. They're gonna get soggy. What the? Who's not eating soggy waffles? They're covered in syrup.
You eat
It's
it
a
fast.
liquid.
I didn't.
You
really,
pour it and then you bite. You don't coat it and just let it sit.
I didn't. Waffles were not in my regular rotation growing up, but I did still
you're
know
missing out.
to use a toaster. But French toast sticks were my thing. Get some French toast sticks.
French toast sticks were fire. I
You
still
seem like a
was.
French toast sticks person.
Yeah.
Damn, Jana, what does that mean?
I don't know, but isn't it accurate?
I
Give me
mean,
French
it
toast
kind of
vibes.
is where it's like
It's
whenever
like
we go to
on
a
the
breakfast
go,
place,
a bit
like
of a zag,
Yeah.
respectable but kind of weird. I think that's
Yeah.
Barrett's brand.
How did you make your French toast sticks?
in the microwave.
There you go.
But it's not like you can put them in the toaster. I think that's how you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but it's the
French
same
toasting.
thing. Like the
I
microwave
think
gets the
it's a
job done.
different-
Is what I'm
it's
saying.
a different it's a different like quality of texture after they're out
No,
of the microwave.
this
I
is
will say,
weird, and I regret
did love-
knowing this about you.
I did. Are you dipping your French toast sticks? Is that how you're going about it? I guess that's the only way, right?
Yeah, it's sort of the only real way.
When I was a kid, we had these plates that like I probably used these plates up until I was like 7 or 8. That had like the split, right? Like they had like the like
little
the compartments. Yeah, the little
Yeah.
compartments, right? And so I remember this vividly.
Also,
right? One of those compartments was
throwing
the
out the
syrup
toaster
compartment.
oven. We weren't fancy enough to have a fucking toaster oven
I
growing
hate the
up.
toaster
Like,
oven.
What?
The toaster oven is just a bad oven and a bad toaster. Like it's trying to be. Whenever you try to be two things at once, it usually doesn't turn out well. Except for like what I do in my job. Don't read into it. Like just don't read into it too much. you know, the toaster oven of media. But yeah, I just never felt like it was.
The
I
toaster
didn't
oven
like
of
it.
games media.
I didn't like it. Like it's like I just didn't enjoy having to use it. So
Janet, I'm very excited to have you here because last night I did not the impossible because I didn't make it the full way there, but I
no, you
attempted to
didn't.
beat Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, and you were hanging out with me. I was streaming it to my Twitch channel, and like a lot of people were hanging out, including you, right? You were there for like the 4.5 hour journey that I went on to get to the
Yeah.
final boss of Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, and I almost killed Chaos. I didn't because that final boss fight was really hard, and I got very tired after 4.5 hours of playing this game and getting to this boss fight and realizing that this boss fight was way more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. But like I bring this up because I think people know my thoughts on Final Fantasy Origin. I've talked about it on multiple shows. I really like this game. I think the story, for the most part, is kind of whatever and generic, even though toward the ending of the game, the story does ramp up in a way that gets real entertaining and gets real interesting. And so I will say that towards it. And I think the gameplay is really fun, really fantastic. Janet, I want to get your thoughts. I want to know, like, as you were watching me play 4 hours of this game, what was running through your head? Did this seem like a game that Janet Garcia would want to get into someday?
The answer to the second question is no, just because not even from what it looked like, because it kind of I didn't really read too much until like the, you know, I wasn't thinking about like the menus and the intricacies of how the system's working together or the story or anything like that. It was just on and I was there to hang out like many are on Twitch. But because people are like, it's either good, bad, or bad, I'm like, this sounds like a game that I don't need to play. And I say that specifically because when it's something that's not really my style, I try to only go for the stuff that has a more positive consensus, while like something that is in my wheelhouse, like narrative driven stuff, like how, you know, and this isn't like a 1-to-1, but like Greg had reviewed like Memoir Blue, and I think he gave it like a 2 out of 5, maybe a 3 out of 5.
3
out of 5. Oh, so that's pretty good actually. But like he wasn't that hot on it, right? He's like, oh, but I'm sure Jan's gonna play this, and I'm like, yeah. Even though Greg wasn't in love with it, I want to play it because it's a narrative game, and I can pick up more on the nuance and enjoy more from that genre. Same with platformers, same with other things that are in my wheelhouse. Final Fantasy is not, so I would only go for the stuff that has more favorable consensus, because like, why am I going to try a bad version of something I already usually don't like that much? You know what I mean? But from watching it, my thoughts, this is nerdy ass shit. I was like, this is some nerd shit. Like, you ever like just watch something and you're like, wow, this is nerdy, and I'm a nerd for having watched it. Because I was so dedicated to your stream at a certain point, because I had it on while I was doing some work. And then, you know, it kept being on, you were getting further, I was into it. And then I was like, okay, well now I live here now until Blessing logs off. Like, I'm just beholden to this stream. Like, I moved it from my desktop to like my PS5. I had to download the Twitch app on the PS5, did the whole phone login thing. At one point there were like 2 of you on at once. And then, yeah, it was just like I was very invested. Okay. I was very invested.
Yeah, I had to ask because like you were there for, I don't think you were there for the full 4.5 hours, but like you kept popping in, right? And like you were there toward the beginning of the stream. I think you were there toward the end of the stream. When I saw Janet was still there, I was like, is Janet digging Stranger Paradise? Is Janet like, has she bought in to the chaos that is kill chaos?
No, but I bought into you, which I think most of your viewers feel similarly. It doesn't really matter what you're playing. We're there to just hang out. But yeah, it was, I mean, it didn't look like awful or anything, but it just looked like a video game, which I think was also some of your takes as well.
Hell yeah. Well, Janet, without further ado, let's talk about some video games. Today's stories include an Xbox PSA, a new Ghost Recon, and more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, roosterteeth.com, or you can listen later on podcast services around the globe by searching for Kinda Funny Games Daily. Remember, you can use Epic Creator Code Kinda Funny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support the channel. To be a part of the show, to patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, where bronze members or above get to write in, and silver members or above get the show ad-free with the exclusive daily post show. Housekeeping for you, a new Kinda Funny podcast is up right now with us recapping our weekend at Achievement Hunter Live. That is Greg, Tim, Nick, and Andy, along with Snowbike Mike and myself. It is a must-listen episode, and it's up right now on youtube.com/KindaFunny and on podcast services around the globe.
Did y'all talk about my my outfit?
Oh, we didn't talk about your outfit. I wish we did, because your outfit was fresh as hell.
The one regret I have from that night is I did not get a picture in that outfit. It was.
Did you not get one picture?
I did not get one picture in that outfit
Damn.
that night. And you know what? Because of that, I'm not even gonna tell y'all what the outfit was. It was exclusive for that night.
Damn. I mean, I was gonna lay it out, but I'll keep it a secret then in that case.
Well, now that I know it's exclusive, now I'm interested, even though I had no interest before.
That's
because
how
I just
get
need to
people
have it. It's the
interested
collector.
in.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
the completionist in me.
You gotta like take like a photo shoot in that outfit, Barry,
Yeah,
and
I
like
will.
upload it somewhere exclusively.
Yeah.
Where only your fans can see it.
God damn it.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Foggo Brady, Pranksy, and Anonymous. Today we're brought to you by Chime, DoorDash, and Babbel, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 5 stories today.
I heard someone ordered a baker's dozen.
Starting with our number one, Janet Barrett. Is the console shortage finally coming to an end? I ask because this morning, Antonio G. Di Benedetto at The Verge put up an article titled, PSA, the Xbox Series X is finally easier to buy. The article reads like this. The Xbox Series X has been one of the most challenging to find gaming gadgets since its late 2020 release. While always a little easier to get a hold of than Sony's PlayStation 5, getting one has all but required keeping track of restocks from multiple retailers on a day-to-day basis, lest you turn to purchasing one from price gougers. But now, we can say, with fingers crossed, that those days may be behind us. The Xbox Series X is readily available at a few retailers and has been for the past handful of days. What's more, you don't need any paid membership or pricey bundles to be able to get one. This, coupled with the lowering costs and better availability of some desktop GPUs, is great news for gamers who want to upgrade to new hardware. As for where you can buy an Xbox Series X right now, if you prefer to just get the $499 console on its own, you can order it online at Walmart or Newegg with minimal shipping times until it reaches your home. Thankfully, Walmart is not requiring a subscription to its Walmart Plus paid membership to access consoles, as it frequently did during its scheduled console restock events. You may also be able to purchase the Xbox Series X from Target for in-store pickup, but this depends on availability at your local brick-and-mortar Target stores. If you don't mind buying a bundle, you have even more options to explore for the Xbox Series X. At this time, Costco members can buy the Xbox with a spare controller for $549.99. The past 6 months have seen a positive shift in the availability for in-demand gaming tech. Nintendo Switch with OLED is easy to purchase, and it's not entirely uncommon to see the Xbox Series S selling for as much as $50 off. While the availability of the Xbox Series X has opened up, the PlayStation 5 remains the outlier. Sony's console has been a hit, and it remains the console that many people want to get, likely due in part to its scarcity. But for now, that's the console that'll require more effort than just clicking add to cart. The next time we write an article like this, it'll probably be about the PS5, but when that will happen is anyone's guess. Now, if you've been paying attention to the timeline, right? If you've been paying attention to Twitter or social media, it seems like for the past few days, this has been the case, that the Xbox has been available. I saw it pop a few days ago where folks were like, yo, I can just go to Walmart and
I'm
buy
looking at my Target right
Xbox.
now. I can get a Series X with like Game Pass All Access. The Series X by itself, the Series S. I could drive down to Target right now, pick one up.
Janet, is this meaningful, right? The fact that Xboxes have been available for the last few days, do you think this is a sign of good things in the future?
I mean, it's not a bad sign, but I don't know if it's a good sign. I'm not like confident that this is going to be the new wave. I think we'd need like a little bit more data before making that call, which obviously this article is kind of also setting up the same thing where it's like, hey, like things could be skewing in a positive direction. But I feel like we've seen like these kind of surges before, and yeah, it's true with the Xbox Series X, that's always the easier one to get. And usually when you do see sort of these influx of these, well, I wouldn't even call it next gen at this point because it's just the gen we're in, consoles, it's usually the Xbox ones. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny because we were talking about this right before we went live with like my brother sending me that picture from our Target saying like that the PlayStation 5 and the Series X are only available online and stuff like that and the limited quantities and all that. Like, I think that's going to remain the case for some time. And it's interesting because I feel like this is and we have this conversation, every few months as we kind of see how stock is going. But I feel like this is the longest it's been this difficult to get a console. I don't know if like, is that true? Is that not true? That's the feeling I get. But I also like am newer to being someone that gets stuff day one, and the challenges of that. But yeah, I mean, I think when we do start seeing these more regularly in stock, it's definitely going to be Xbox being the first one, which is cool. I mean, there's already a lot of options to like get Xbox. You know, obviously Game Pass is very enticing. So even though like the bundle with Ultimate might be kind of just another form of a bundle, it is a bundle that is enticing, that people actually like want to have. People in chat were mentioning the Wii shortage or challenges of getting that. That probably is the case, but I don't really remember because I didn't want the Wii because I hated the Wiimote. I still hate the Wiimote, and that's the only Nintendo console I've never bought. So,
wait, really? You never had a Wii?
No, I hated it. I still hated it. I think I even hate when even when games come to Switch that are Wii games, like so often they're like Wiified in a weird way that I just don't really enjoy playing them all that much. So yeah, hated the Wii.
Man, I mean, here's the thing, right? The Wii, I don't think the Wii is far from the best Nintendo console, right? I think the library very much dwindled out fairly quickly on that thing. But the Wii was special though, like for Wii Sports, for like Mario Kart, Wii, like I don't know, I have like a soft spot for the Wii.
I
feel
so
like the
bad
Wii
at Mario Kart on the
time.
Wii because, well, obviously I didn't I didn't grow up playing it. Like that it wasn't a console I had, but I played it a bit in college. And man, that like learning curve was brutal with the motion control of trying to like. I spent so much time in the grass starting out. Someone mentioned, but Janet, it felt so realistic. Like the Wii actually was what had me stop gaming for a couple years because like during the Wii era, it was the motion control era, and it was also like the era where I felt like shooters were getting a lot more popular, and I'm like, I don't want to shoot, and I don't want to do the motion control weird remote TV stick. So I guess I'm done. Like, I guess this is
I guess
the
I'm just
end.
gonna take a break from this.
Well, yeah, I'm like, I guess gaming's going in a direction that I'm not interested in, you know, and I wasn't into the indie scene at the time. So I just kind of was like, well, I got my PS3 still, and we're just gonna hang out until further notice. And then I, started playing like indie games on like my laptop and, slowly got back into it. But yeah, the Wii literally stopped me from playing video games because I really was not interested.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think the Wii is a good example of the big example of a console shortage before the one we have right now, right? That is like of this magnitude, right? Like I think at the end of the day, I think what we have right now is probably going to surpass the Wii in terms of like how difficult it is, especially the PS5, right? It seems like the Xbox is opening up, but I still don't foresee the PS5 being a thing that is immediately available in the near future, where it is just you can go to Best Buy, click buy, and have a PS5 immediately, right? Like it seems like you're gonna have to dig for that one for a while. And if this continues to last until let's say 2023, then yeah, I think that overtakes the Wii in terms of like how tough that is as a console shortage. But also like it is nice to see things opening up, right? I think it is nice for people to be out there who want the opportunity to hop into next gen, right? Want the opportunity to hop into like whatever new games release and not feel like they have to go digging, not feel like there's an extra amount of work that they have to put in to find these things. The fact that like Xboxes are available in stores right now, I think that's a good omen that I hope to continue to see. Shannon, you need to get on the Wii. We need to like find you some Wii games.
No, I really don't like. And I know
so
some
like,
people
did you
think
not
it's
fuck with
really
like
weird.
Did you not fuck with like Zelda Twilight Princess?
I mean, did anyone
you-
like
What?
like,
What?
I mean, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, but like on GameCube though, this is the better way to play.
I really like the Wii version. In the Wii version, like you could run
No,
around.
I
while doing,
I
like,
didn't play it genuinely.
swipes.
I'm just messing with y'all with the consensus of that game not being super hot. But no, I happen to not play that Zelda game, so I don't have any.
Some would
about
say,
opinion on it.
some would
It's
say
not-
some of the best
it's not a
Zelda
beef.
dungeons. Some would say.
It's not a beef with the game. Like I know people like love Mario Galaxy. Like there's good. Like Nintendo's always made good games,
No
but
More
like I really
Heroes,
hate the
New
hardware.
Super Mario Brothers Wii, Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
I'm not a brawl person. Like I didn't like the controls, and it's like they're so integrated into that hardware, like more so than I think any. I feel like I'm making like all these like generalized claims of like this is the ultimate of this thing, but like it is so deeply ingrained in how you engage with those games that you really can't separate the two, and that's why even the ports feel so like specific. So yeah, I don't like the remote. It's weird. Not a fan. Was not a fan.
Well, Janet, let's talk about something that we can all agree on is an incredible video game. Ghost Recon. Story number 2, sources say a new Ghost Recon is in development. This is from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku. Ghost Recon Breakpoint has officially received its last update, Ubisoft announced yesterday. The news comes just a few months after the publisher's disastrous experiment with adding NFTs to the game, and we have learned as its parent studio works on the next mainline entry in the Ghost Recon series, according to 2 sources familiar with its development. The next Ghost Recon, codenamed Over, and originally leaked by NVIDIA, has been in development for over a year and could arrive as early as fiscal year 2023, sources tell Kotaku. Instead of teasing that project as part of the series' 20th anniversary last year, however, Ubisoft revealed development of Ghost Recon Frontline, yet another free-to-play live service shooter deeply reminiscent of Call of Duty Warzone. Fans were less than enthusiastic, and following negative feedback from an internal playtest earlier this year, Kotaku understands that the project is to be undergoing a reset and is unlikely to launch anytime soon. With the end to Breakpoint updates comes new radio silence for the NFT push. According to two sources familiar with Ubisoft Strategic Innovations Lab, the team behind Quartz has gone mostly quiet internally following the initial backlash to its controversial experiment. Quote, as we're rolling out the last update of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, there will not be any additional content added to the game, a spokesperson for Ubisoft told Kotaku. They continue, quote, we'll have more to share regarding Ubisoft Quartz at a later date, end quote. A message on the Ubisoft Quartz website thanks Breakpoint players who claim the initial NFTs. Quote, you own a piece of the game and have left your mark in history, it states. In the meantime, the publisher is currently hiring for a number of new blockchain-related roles, including economists, content managers, and a producer to, quote, coordinate with game teams and help them in integrating Quartz, end quote. Janet, this is kind of like two news stories in one, right? You have the half that is, hey, there's a new Ghost Recon game coming, right? I think they talked a little bit about Ghost Recon Breakpoint having its final update on yesterday's show. But now we have the confirmation, not the confirmation, but like the report of a new one incoming. That's half the news story. The other half of the news story is this NFT business. Is now like, it seems like on one hand, the NFT business of Ubisoft is going a little bit quiet, but on the other hand, it seems like it's still going to be ongoing, right? There's no sign of the NFT push stopping over there at Ubisoft. Which half do you want to start with?
Oh, let's start with the NFT half, because I feel like it's the one that's a little bit more interesting, at least to me, and I think can be like a little bit more generalized as we start to see, different sectors of gaming dip into and then leave the NFT market. I'll be very interested to see what their next thing is. I don't think they're, done. Not that they said they were done, but the kind of like going silent and then kind of playing it by ear and what's to come. I think a lot of the language here, it's pretty careful, which I think makes sense. Usually in these cases, you see not wanting to like commit, but not wanting to say no and just being like, stay tuned, But I'm so curious as to like what they're thinking internally about this and whether or not they see it as viable based on what went down with their initial push. I think they're at least going to try it out for like a while. Like I definitely think we'll see more, but I am questioning what the long-termness of this looks like. And that's even outside of the idea of like NFTs and that market in general, just like simply from their company standpoint and where I see them like moving in the future. But what about you? What's your read on this?
Yeah, as far as like the NFT half, right? Like I don't read they're going quiet as them being like, okay, no, let's pull back. It seems like people don't like this. I think that's more so like, hey, people don't like the messaging of this. Let's calm down a little bit and like do our thing and figure out how we're gonna talk about it. Like again, you go to the blog and the quote that the Kotaku article pulls from the blog is them being like, hey, like you own a piece of the game and have left your mark on history, right? Like they're still talking about it as a thing that they're happy about and happy to promote and happy to like congratulate their players for taking part in.
I read that comment more as a way to like calm down fears or potential anger from people that are like, oh, I bought this thing and like now you're just ditching this project. Yeah. Like I thought we were all in on this. So I kind of felt like that line was just so like you may think that us kind of going quiet means that what you didn't matter, but it did matter and it was a good idea and you should be glad that you did it.
You will forever be a part of Ghost Recon Breakpoint's legacy, a legacy that is now dead because we're shutting down the game.
Yeah, like it's like the with the left your mark on history. I mean, that is true, but that's true a lot of times. It's like when I'll do a show with someone for the first time and I'm like, we're making history today. I mean, it's cute and it's technically true, but it's not. It's kind of
and also
meant
making
to
your
be
mark on
dressed up
history
and exciting.
doesn't always mean it's a good mark on history.
That is true. That is
like
also
maybe
true.
maybe they're trying to like be vague in that way too. Of like, hey, you made your mark on history. Was it good or not? We don't know. Will we do this in the future? Maybe if we can find a more subtle way to do it without people yelling at us about it, and so we can still make bucks off of y'all.
toward the end of that blog post, right? Again, this is a blog post that is made by the Ubisoft core team. That is the team that is responsible for the NFT push over there at Ubisoft. In that same blog post where they thank people for their participation in the Ghost Recon Breakpoint NFTs, they also conclude that blog by saying, "Stay tuned for more updates with features to the platform and future drops coming with other games." They very much plan to keep this going. And it's fascinating, right? Like I looked into a little bit of like what the NFT implementation in Ghost Recon Breakpoint looked like. And it seems like there are in-game items that come with like unique serial numbers rendered on them, right? And so like the going over to gamesindustry.biz, they pull the example of the Breakpoint NFTs were in-game items such as like trousers for your character and stuff like that, right? With unique serial numbers rendered on them. And that is the most unexciting shit I've ever heard in my life.
Do they
And
look different, or they just have a different serial number?
I assumed it was just hey, these are just different serial numbers. I can't imagine that the trousers for your Ghost Recon Breakpoint characters look probably different, even if they did, right? Like, how dope are these trousers? Like, what kind of trousers are we talking about? Are these trousers off the chain? Are these one of a kind, like fucking crazy ass Ghost Recon Breakpoint trousers that I'm rocking? I imagine not, right? I imagine that like it's gonna be fucking some pants. Like, it's gonna be some pants. So that's unexciting. And I think like when we talk about NFT implementation, the idea there too could be hey, you got this in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now you can carry it over to Rainbow Six, or you can carry it over to the number of other Ubisoft games that we have. They've not talked about that stuff, right? I don't think we have an example of Ubisoft doing any of that. And if they do, maybe that becomes a thing that could be exciting. But as of now, it seems like the NFT push at Ubisoft seems empty, seems unexciting. And like, but that is purely from the implementation standpoint, let alone the unproven technology, let alone the environment stuff, let alone all the other like the way that people are scamming NFTs right now, let alone all the other things that are going on with NFTs that make them kind of a shady business. The actual thing that they're putting out there just does not seem something that's worthwhile. And so like that's something to keep an eye on for sure. That's kind of how I feel about it. When we're talking about the Ghost Recon thing, them working on a new Ghost Recon game, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I think they're definitely going to have to step things up from Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because it seems like that one came out and was just a thud, especially after Wildlands, which Wildlands seemed to perform better than I would have even imagined it would have performed, right? Like that game came out in early 2017, KindaFunny.com/you're wrong. And in a year, that was a banger year for video games. It came out and it performed. It sold pretty well. It had DLC. It had ongoing stuff come out for it. I was surprised when Breakpoint came out and it didn't live up to that. And so it makes sense to see Ubisoft go, all right, Breakpoint wasn't it. Let's cut that off, right? Let's not do updates for it anymore. Let's say goodbye to that, and let's focus on what the next Ghost Recon is. That'll take it back to Ghost Recon Wildlands levels of success and excitement. My question is, does Ubisoft have the stuff still, right? Like I look at so many of the Ubisoft announcements right now for upcoming games, and I'm like, man, y'all got a lot of stuff going on that doesn't seem exciting, right? You put out Hyperscape, you shut down Hyperscape after a year. You have the Division Heartland that's announced, right? That is the free-to-play Division game. Like that is yet to see. You have X Defiant, which is announced, which is their like squad-based shooter thing. That doesn't seem like it's exciting people too much, right? Like, yeah, where the fuck is Roller Champions? There are so many Ubisoft games that have been announced. Where is Sea of Thieves? Or not Sea of Thieves, sorry. Where is what's the pirate game called that I can't remember what it's called now? Where's Skull and Bones, right? Like, where is Beyond Good and Evil 2? There's so much stuff that is in the ether for Ubisoft that I feel like we do not have answers for. And so them talking about how they're working on a new Ghost Recon, it being reported that they're working on a new Ghost Recon, I'm like, all right, we'll see. We'll see is this going to be part of their free-to-play initiative? Probably, you know?
Yeah, I feel like Ubisoft has a lot of solid ideas, but the landing never really, or not never, but like has rarely really been landing in a big way. And that's, you know, you can still have a very successful like business and company and studio without having like the most critically acclaimed games ever. Like you don't need like to be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece level. But I think as far as, like what we like to look into and talk about and the intrigue there, yeah, it is kind of muted, I think, mixed to say the least. So yeah, I mean, it's weird because like the following negative feedback, like from internal playtesting, like it seems like they're, resetting things. On one hand, it's like, oh, it's good that they're listening to like that feedback. But on the other hand, it's like, it's bad that is the feedback. So it's like, how are you going to be able to rework this in a way that's going to be compelling? And as usual, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, also I want to shout out though chat from our conversation earlier with the NFT things, because like chat was in their bag. Someone mentioned NFT trousers, like NFT trousers. Hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that's
And then someone said, "Are these quote are these trousers off the chain?" Point in fact, they very much are on the chain. That's hilarious. That's objectively hilarious.
Fuck you, Shaq. God damn.
That's good. That's really good.
Pretty funny. If anything was said after, I didn't catch it. But yeah. So I don't have any like strong confidence that this is gonna like knock it out of the park, but I mean, anything at any point, anyone can have a comeback. So is this going to be it? Is the question, and I'm not quite sure.
We'll have to stay tuned and see about that one. Janet, before we move on to story number 3, I want to tell people out there about patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, where you can go to get the show ad free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That's up to 2 more days to save, pay bills, and generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is more than just getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank and Stride Bank NA, members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depend on the payer. You got back-to-back meetings, errands to run, and chores to take care of. What's the secret to clearing your to-do list? A little help from DoorDash. You can get dinner, household essentials, and everything on your grocery list delivered. I'm gonna pause the ad and tell you, ladies and gentlemen, how do I know so much about DoorDash? I used it this morning. I woke up, I had to get the house ready, I had this guy coming to work on the garage, I had the nanny coming over, we had no clean bottles, I cleaned the bottles and everything, and I was like, I'm hungry and I need coffee and I don't have time to make either. I DoorDashed Jen and I some breakfast today and it was great. When I was sick last week, I DoorDashed Gatorade because I wasn't about to go out. DoorDash is great. Back to what they wrote. Ordering is easy and your items will be left safely outside your door when you choose contactless delivery drop-off. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code KindaFunny. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code KindaFunny. Don't forget, that's code KindaFunny for 25% off your first order with DoorDash, subject to change, terms apply. For most of us, learning a second language in high school or college wasn't exactly a high point in our academic careers. I took 3 years of French and guess what? It didn't stick. Now, thanks to Babbel, the language learning app that's sold more than 10 million subscriptions, there's an addictively easy and fun way to learn a new language. Whether you'll be traveling abroad, connecting in a deeper way with family, or just have some free time, Babbel teaches you bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually want to use in the real world. Je parle un peu français, and I was talking to Jen's mom here and there about little things. Mon chapeau, you know what it's about. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and accent. I could use that for English. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, you can save up to 60% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/kindafunny. That's babbel.com/kindafunny for up to 60% off your subscription. Babbel. Language for life.
Story number 3, Janet. A THQ Nordic digital showcase is set for August 12th. This is Sal Romano at Gamatsu. THQ Nordic will host its second annual digital showcase event on August 12th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. The showcase will feature several brand new games, quote, expanding the... Yeah, hell yeah. Did you see some Battle for Bikini Bottom? Is that what that was?
The spiritual successor that they announced last year, yeah.
Hell yeah. Quote, expanding the company's portfolio into new genres with both licensed and original gaming experiences, end quote. The THQ Nordic promises, quote, everything from intense and dark and gritty to light, colorful, and just plain fun, end quote. And in addition to new announcements, updates on previously announced titles such as Outcast 2, A New Beginning, and Jagged Alliance 3 are also planned. A pre-show featuring the latest titles from Handy Games will also take place before the broadcast. I am surprised by how far. I'm not surprised. This does feel like it's being announced very far ahead, right? August 12th is what we're looking at 12 p.m. Pacific time. This feels like them being like, yo, let's alert the masses, all right? Ubisoft, EA, PlayStation, stay away. August 12th is our time, and we're gonna announce some SpongeBob. Janet, how hyped are you for this?
I'm pretty mild, admittedly, only because with like these more specific showcases, because there's like the heavy hitters that we always like all watch, like if Xbox is doing something, if PlayStation's doing something, Nintendo, like a couple other like really big teams. But for the most part, like when it comes to these smaller ones, usually I'll just gravitate towards what aligns with my interests the most. So again, like like if Annapurna is doing something, a couple other like places, THQ is one that I'm like, all right, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to like what they're working on, but I might not like watch it live. Like I might more catch a recap, because usually there's only like one or two things that have piqued my interest from it. But I think it is cool and smart that like they're doing their own showcases and kind of establishing it. I mean, if nothing else than to get us talking about it and putting it on our radar for what projects they're working on. And it draws more attention than it would have if they were just, putting out like posts or tweets or even just dropping trailers. Like I admittedly wouldn't pay as much attention as I do when they do have their showcases drop. And I think the last one was like pretty solidly constructed too, because I actually might have caught that live. I felt like it didn't like have a lot of downtime. Like I felt like it was a pretty tight showcase. Maybe I'm misremembering, but yeah. What about you? What does this do for you?
It's hard for me to get excited for a THQ thing. I remember during E3 last year, it wasn't THQ Nordic, but it was that same like parent company. It was like one of the worst showcases of E3. Barrett could probably remind me what it was actually called, but it was like Jeff Keighley was in it. It was like a lot of like long interviews with developers for games that I don't think any of us were excited about. Koch Media, thank you so much.
Media, but I don't think they don't own THQ Nordic, do they?
They don't own THQ Nordic. It's Embracer Group. Embracer Group, I believe, owns THQ Nordic.
Gotcha.
Right, I think they're both kind of under that. KindaFunny.com/you're wrong once again. I get that energy whenever I see one of these announced from like a THQ Nordic or any of their like sister or brother brands. I look back because they did do the showcase last year, right? And I think that was like their first showcase in this way. That was like their 10th anniversary showcase.
Yeah, and it was, like looking it up, it was like a 36-minute thing. 36
minutes, yeah. And the games they had included were like Destroy All Humans 2. They had SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. They had Barrett shaking it for excitement. They had Outcast 2, A New Beginning, Jagged Alliance 3, Superpower 3, MX vs. ATV Legends, LX2, Expeditions Rome, right? Like that was the lineup.
It's nostalgia time with THQ, it feels like. Like their best stuff happens to be like at least the best stuff in terms of things that I think garner the most attention, popularity, and excitement from people is the nostalgia play stuff. Destroy All Humans, SpongeBob, those are the heavy hitters. Everything else, like, not that other people don't care about those IPs, because I'm sure there's fans of everything. So yes, just because it's not me doesn't mean they don't exist. But in terms of like what seems to get more general attention, it's when it's digging into like that nostalgia play.
Yeah, and I think that's the exact thing, right? And I think that goes for what Embracer Group is, and specifically THQ Nordic, right? They find the weird AA IPs that were hot during like the PS2 era or the N64 era, and like games that have come and gone and maybe went for good reason because they weren't super profitable, but like that has become their bag, right? And they're kind of doubling down on these games. And they put out SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, and evidently that game did well enough because now they're putting out a new SpongeBob 3D platformer, and that's going to speak to a particular audience, right? That's going to be exciting for a group of people. Same with Destroy All Humans.
It's gaming for millennials is what this is.
It's gaming for millennials, right? It's gaming for Barrett Courtney mainly, right? Especially when you talk about SpongeBob. Yeah, like I know that's exciting for Barrett.
Destroy All Humans as well.
It's Destroy All Humans as well. And I know like friends back in the day who loved Destroy All Humans 1 and 2, right? Like that is going to speak to a certain amount of people. I'm sure there's people out there that will go crazy for Outcast 2, right? And like, none of these games necessarily do it for me. Like I'm not looking at this THQ thing and I'm like, I'm not crazy excited about it. Kind of funny. I'm like doing like a lot of You're Wrong references, but tell me who Volition is under. Right? Is Volition THQ Nordic, or is Volition like I forget exactly like how all that is structured because it's all the same parent company.
Volition Games.
Let me know, because like that's the thing that will get me excited, right? Like I love Volition as a studio. I know they're working on the new Saints Row. That's something that gets me hyped. And Saints Row is coming out like this fall.
They
anyway,
used to be under THQ
Deep Silver,
but yeah, they're under Deep Silver now. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, we're not gonna see that there. But either way, right? Like if you have one of those developers there, that would be the thing that would get me hyped and excited. But so far it doesn't seem like they have anything like that for me in particular. But it's a showcase. I'm gonna show up to it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna have fun watching it alongside Barrett Courtney. And I'm sure Barrett Courtney will be the one that like I can vicariously live through in this moment and like have hype through Barrett. And so
gameplay of the new SpongeBob game, gameplay of Destroy All Humans 2. That's all I need.
What is your ideal heads up for like a showcase? Because you mentioned that this one's like, oh, it's kind of, they're announcing it like way in advance. Like, what is your ideal spacing for that?
I guess for me it depends on like the gravity of the showcase and how big of a showcase it is. But like even for those ones, right? Like for like the biggest showcases, I swear we get 3 days heads up, maybe a week if it's like a PlayStation showcase or something like that, like a fall showcase. I don't need 3-4 months heads up on when you're doing a showcase, 5 months heads up. But I think that's part of THQ Nordic not being as big as these other guys and them really wanting to take the time to like, hey, we want to hype it up. We want to make sure that people know that we're going on this day. We want to make sure that people are aware. And like, this gives us the time to get the info out so that people know to tune into this thing. It does still feel like a long time. Like I think they could have done this maybe a few weeks out if they really wanted to do that. But hey, Janet, actually, before I even transition to the next news story, I do have one more question for Bear. Bear, what do you want to see from the new SpongeBob game?
Just keep the gameplay design elements from the Battle for Bikini Bottom, and just just more different locales and stuff. They tease a lot of like episodes and stuff in that trailer that they revealed last year, and just a bunch of good old references to like the first 3 seasons, because that's peak SpongeBob right there. So that's what I want personally.
Hell yeah. Story number 4. The Skywalker Saga has smashed LEGO Steam user record by 1,200%. This is Chris Scullion at Video Games Chronicle. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has had a strong first day on Steam, destroying the previous record for concurrent players on any LEGO game on the service. The game was released on Tuesday, and within just 2 hours had reached a peak of 82,517 concurrent users, briefly placing it higher than some regular Steam favorites such as Team Fortress 2, Rainbow Six Siege, and Football Manager 2022. This completely eclipses the previous peak for concurrent Steam users on a LEGO game, which was achieved by LEGO Marvel Superheroes when it hit 5,953 users 8 years ago. This new peak for the Skywalker Saga marks an increase of more than 1,200% over that previous record. Given that the game was only released yesterday, it's still too early to tell how well its initial sales have gone, but a record like this will be welcomed by publisher Warner Brothers Games and developer TT Games. Janet, do these numbers surprise you?
A little bit. Just in the sense that like whenever like records are breaking, it's a little bit surprising, but I will say like this is more noise around a LEGO game than I've seen in a while. And I'm sure like the Star Wars element definitely helps. And then as well as like it's been so anticipated for so long, like people, and they're also kind of like a known quantity in a good way. Like I haven't really spent much time with the LEGO games, but the one thing that I take away as like a little bit more of an outsider is that these are good games. Like, no, for real, they're good. Like, people don't think they're good because they're gonna, maybe like they have a kind of a juvenile like wrapping over them, but they're like quality video games. And that's always like what I've heard, and that seems to remain the case, if not be even stronger. Like this, it reviewed like super well. So yeah, like, and I don't know anyone that's playing it and doesn't like it. Like, which I think is a testament to how much excitement there is around this game. I have not picked it up yet, or I haven't started playing it yet, but I plan to dip into it with my brother because we've been wanting to do a LEGO game together for a while, but it just hasn't, come to fruition yet. But again, we already have too many games though already, so maybe I'm gonna wait. Actually, I'm really trying to reel us in, like me and my brother, because I'm like, look, we're not gonna do anything else until we have to beat Uncharted 4 still, and I actually still have to finish one of the. I don't know what the name of the game is. Why would you say that?
How long have you been playing Uncharted 4?
How long? Oh, that's a good question. Maybe like half a year or something.
Yeah, it's been.
Look, here's the thing. This is how I game: is I either beat the games immediately or it takes me like months to years. This is why the reason you see me beaming through so many games is like, if I don't do this, I will not see the end. Like, I'm like, oh, we're seeing the end in 2 days because it's going to be 2 years.
Which is why I say you're not going to see the end of Uncharted 4. You're not invested. You just gotta peace out. You just gotta decide that like, hey, it's not for me.
Are you kidding? I'm hyper invested. I've never been more invested in anything in my life. That's not true, but you know, I just feel like I wanted to add a little bit of pizzazz to it. Yeah, like I've been working on this. This legacy has been in the works for years for me. Since like before I was full time in the industry, I think I started this journey with the collection that I had, you know, the 3 games on 1 disc or whatever the hell. And then now I'm on 4.
But like you
and then,
suffered through those. You don't have to suffer, Janet. That's my thing. Is
Look,
like you
again,
didn't like the 3 games.
I
Maybe
think
you
people
like
think-
Uncharted 4. You hopped in Uncharted 4. You're not. I can
think
see it in
people
your
think
eyes.
I hate the games. I don't hate them. I just don't think they're as like hot as people say they are. At least the first 3. I'm like, okay, I think this was hot at the time and it doesn't age as good as like other older games. Like when I played Last of Us 1 in the modern era, like for the first time, I'm like, yeah, this is still awesome. Uncharted's like there's fun moments, but it's kind of too long. Like all the games are a little too long. But 4 so far is the best one. So whoever said that seems to be right. There's like everyone kept telling me the next one's the best one. 4 is good. 4 is cool. Yeah, and you know, I'm hanging out, you know, my janky brother's there, my real brother's there in real life.
Are you having a fantastic time with 4?
No, I'm not having a fantastic time, but I'm rarely there's not many games that I would say I'm having a fantastic time with. That's a really high level of like rating. Fantastic.
I'm just saying, it's so far, right? You said how many months? 4 months? 5 months?
I'm looking at the paintings.
6 months?
You know?
It doesn't, this is not the amount of time it takes to finish Uncharted 4 is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this far in, it's like, I should just give it up, man. I'm not into this
chat, what's the longest you've had from like when you start a game to when you beat a game? Because I definitely have gone
Persona 5.
Like a 15-hour game. A 15-hour game, though. I'm not talking about like a long Persona 5 RPG.
Yeah, I mean, there's games that like, and maybe this just speaks to my own like chaos, but like there, not to bring up Final Fantasy again, but there's like, you know, like I've started, like even with Last of Us 1, I started that game like 4 times before I actually sat down and was able to finish it. Like I have like weird cadences for that stuff. Like
I feel that. I'm not saying it's impossible because I've had those situations too.
Until you give up, and that's my beef with you being like you're not going to finish it. It's not going to be finished until I decide it's not going to be finished, and I'm not going to. So I'm just going to drag it out, and we're going to finish it, and then we're going to go back to that one. It's not Dark Pictures. It is Dark Pictures, but I forgot the name of the game.
Quarry?
No, the one that's out already.
Little
one that just came out.
Oh, that just came out.
You played it.
The war.
Yes.
You know which one I'm talking about.
The
Yeah.
Iraq War one.
Yeah, that one.
Yes, I'm playing that with
House
my
of
brother.
Ashes.
House of Ashes. There we go. We haven't finished that, so we're gonna go Uncharted, House of Ashes. Then there's like another game. So this is the point. Is you'll in 3 years, I'm gonna let you know what I think of this game.
Here's my thing, right? Because I understand what you're talking about in terms of like putting a game down and then coming back to it later and then like finishing
Also, this is with someone else too. You gotta understand. Like it's not like I can just say today I'm finishing it. Like he's at work, you know what I mean? Like
okay, first of all, these sound like a lot of excuses, but I'll let you get those off. But also, like I hear you in terms of
it's context.
Bloodborne. I started in like 2017. I think I played like 30 minutes of Bloodborne, right? And I put it down and I picked it back up beginning of 2020. Played probably like 6 to 7 hours of Bloodborne at the beginning of 2020, put it down. And then at the end of 2020, came back around to it, or was it 2021? Time's a flat circle. Came back to it much later, finally beat it, and now it's like one of my favorite games ever, right? Like those experiences happen. I feel like for the way you're playing Uncharted 4, because it seems like you're still coming back to it. Like you're gradually making your way through. You're playing a little bit of it at a time, right? And now 6 months have passed. I don't know if you're gonna pick up Uncharted 4, finish it, and go, that was worth it.
Not y'all dragging me on taking a long time to finish a game. Usually y'all are mad that, oh, you finished it too fast. Now it's the opposite. No one's ever going to be happy is the thing. Like, look, I'm playing the game. We're getting through it. I got my Twitter thread so that I like remember what's going on. I'm tracking it all. Like, and that's the thing. Like, y'all don't want to see, you know, the real me, because the real me doesn't get anything done. This is me playing not in content. And if I'm not like actually working towards something, it's gonna take as long as it takes.
What about Psychonauts 2? Where are you at with it?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like here's the thing. Here's my question for you with Psychonauts 2. Would you still want me to play more of that game? Or are you like, you've already burned me and it's over?
Yeah, the bridge is burned.
That's a good point.
Our friendship is
exactly.
over.
So
you know?
the bridge is burned already. You will never forgive me. So I'm not going to waste my time like putting in this time that I would only be doing. See, that is something I'd be doing for someone else. Like that's just for Barrett.
Yeah.
And Barrett's like, I don't want it anymore. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like then I'm just going to keep this deleted off the hard drive. And then too, I'm bummed because I wanted to finish Uncharted 4 in time for the movie, but I didn't do that. So like I got to finish that. I got to watch the movie.
Wait,
I
are you
gotta play
still?
that-
Are you?
Then I gotta play
Are
that
you
other
holding
game.
off on the movie until you finish the game?
Yeah. No
So you're gonna see
spoilers.
this
I'm
movie in
telling-
2023.
Yeah, like I plan on and I want to watch it in theaters, but like now but that boat's probably
run out
already
of
sailed
theater.
or whatever. Yeah, but I'm not gonna finish it in time to get. We're just gonna do it an at-home thing. Drink some beers. Like I live in this series. The only thing that's gonna get me free is if they just hopefully don't make any more games, because like I am in this. I'm same with Dark Pictures. Like I don't want, and I like Dark Pictures actually probably less than Uncharted. But I'm so
I just want you to know
invested in
that
Dark
this sounds
Pictures.
like suffering. As your friend, I'm telling you, it sounds like suffering. You can
A
just
lot of
separate
what I
yourself
would
from
describe
Uncharted. You
to
don't need
you
the Uncharted.
would sound like suffering. I just ran a marathon. Are you kidding? Like suffering, I dabble in the suffering in my
okay.
spare time. You know what I mean? Like it's an exercise. I get different things out of it. Okay.
Have you played
like,
Tomb Raider?
No, I haven't actually. So there's like a lot to do is the thing. You know what I mean? I'm doing the best I can with the time
Maybe
I
you should pick up
have.
Tomb Raider. Maybe you should pick up Tomb Raider. Maybe that's like
And then I
maybe
pick
you'll
up
prefer
stuff,
that.
and then people are like mad that I'm not into it enough, and they're like, "Don't even finish it because you don't like it enough." Like, I'm gonna see it through. And again, like I don't dislike. If I genuinely didn't like Uncharted, I would just have stopped playing. Like I just don't love it. Like I just don't think it's like the second coming of Christ. I'm like, this is a fine action adventure game that has some really high highs and some really mids. Like I don't think that's that crazy. Like I've played way worse games than Uncharted. I've beaten way worse games than Uncharted.
This is a fantastic Janet rant. Like I'm trying not to like jump in because I want to see how long you go of just like digging yourself into a hole, defending yourself, and getting chat because chat's back on your side now.
We need to use this is I just speak my truth. If you're on my I don't care who's on my side, who isn't. This is who I am, and for you to understand me a little bit more. If you don't like what you get, that got nothing to do with me.
Blessing, someone you're saying digging a hole. Someone's hole is another person's hill. You know.
That's a tunnel.
That's fire. That's fire. Someone's hole is another person's hill.
This is true. I don't microwave my waffles. I think chat is bringing up some good points here with that. So
two things, right? One, congratulations to Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga for the success. That's great to see. And I think that was coming just with like the marketing and like how ambitious this game is, right, compared to others, and it being like the entire fucking Star Wars 3 trilogy movie set, right? Like that's a fantastic feat to like make that happen. But also, yeah, I think that's going to lead to a lot of people getting hyped for this Lego game, even more than previous ones. And so shout out to that. And then I had a second thing, but within that entire rant, I lost it, remembered it, lost it again. Hold on, it'll come to me. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. No, I lost it. I don't have it. Well, Janet, I think we'll round out the Roper Report with story number 5. An interesting one. SNK is now almost entirely owned by the Saudi Crown Prince's Foundation. This is Jay Peters at The Verge. Strap in, everybody, for this one. SNK Corporation, the developer of games like Metal Slug and Fatal Fury, is now nearly entirely owned by a subsidiary of the Saudi Crown Prince's Foundation. Electronic gaming development company, which is owned by the Mohammed bin Salman Foundation, aka the MISC Foundation, holds 96.18% of SNK's shares, according to a February 15th filing on SNK's website. This follows a strategic investment announced in November 2020, where the MISC Foundation acquired an initial 33.3% stake in SNK. At the time, MISC Foundation indicated it planned to eventually take a 51% stake in SNK, but it seems like MISC Foundation decided to buy a much larger stake. Quote, the Mohammed bin Salman Foundation's, aka the MISC Foundation, investment in the Japanese company SNK reinforces its continued commitment to its goals of empowering Saudi men and women through building economic partnerships with the foundation's updated strategy to maximize the positive impact on youth empowerment, the MISC Foundation said in the press release in the press release for that investment. Quote, the investment decision will also enhance SNK's strong capabilities, which has many innovative intellectual properties in the gaming sector with real potential for development in the future in line with anticipated growth within the electronic gaming industry, end quote. Recently, Saudi Arabia has made some big investments in the gaming industry. Bloomberg reported in February that Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, aka the PIF, has taken stakes of more than 5% in both Capcom and Nexon, stakes that combined are worth more than $1 billion. The PIF also invested more than $3.3 billion to buy stock in gaming giants Activision Blizzard, EA, and Take-Two in the fourth quarter of 2020, Al Jazeera reported in February 2021. But the investments carry the weight of Saudi Arabia's recent history of human rights abuses. Most recently, a U.S. intelligence report concluded Mohammed bin Salman approved the plans to capture or kill journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was murdered and dismembered after visiting a Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Riot Games received a wave of criticism for a sponsorship deal with the Saudi megacity Neom and ended the deal less than a day after it was announced. Janet, this is a wild one. It's a mixture of video game news with real life, real world news. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you bringing up that point of like the outside world and then the gaming world, which the gaming world exists in the outside world, like, right? Like, you know, I think people, again, I see this all the time here, where there is a sector of any element of the gaming audience that really wants games to just be about games. But again, games exist in the world, and like those things legitimately have impact on gaming, on development, on public perception, on a whole bunch of different elements. So yeah, this is just one of many examples. I think obviously there's like a lot of darkness to the story, but I think it's also a reminder that, you know, and Chet kind of mentioned it with like, oh yeah, another like capitalism story. Yeah, like, gaming is a business. Like, you know, I love it for the art, the fun, the camaraderie, like so many things. But at the end of the day, it is a product and it is a business, and this is a business move. And business moves often have this sort of darkness to them, or they at least it can. So yeah, I mean, it is kind of it's surprising in the sense that, like, you know, the headline stands out as like not as unlike other stuff that we like read when we're reading gaming news. But again, I think with the context of the other investments, it isn't totally out of left field if you've been paying attention to kind of what's been going on.
Yeah. I think this is another one of like, yeah, capitalism is scary, right? Like the way these things come down. I think it falls in line with all the other times in video game news and in the industry where real shit interacts with the shit that we love and enjoy, right? Like, how does me playing Metal Gear Solid, or me playing, I guess in this case, right? Like, I love King of Fighters 15. I played the hell out of King of Fighters 15, which is an SNK game, right? Like, how that then somehow like filters up toward, oh yeah, like the Mist Foundation has invested a majority stake into SNK, right? Like, how the fuck do we get there, right? Like, that stands alongside like abuse stuff going on over at Activision Blizzard. It stands alongside like the J.K. Rowling stuff going on with Harry Potter and how we treat that IP, right? The way that the things we love filter back to the things that like we don't necessarily love because of the way that business works and the way that capitalism works, oftentimes suck, and oftentimes makes the way that like we interact with these things a bit like gray and a bit weird and a bit uncomfortable. And like, this is a new story that honestly I look at and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, man. Like, this is so above like the things I think about when I think of SNK, or I think of Fatal Fury, or I know plenty of people are excited for Metal Slug Tactics, which is a which is a SNK property, right? Like, I know that's probably going to color away a certain amount of people look at that game that they're looking forward to, right? And then people are going to have to make the personal choice of, all right, like, how do I deal with this? Do I support this? Do I not support this? Like, is this on me, the consumer who is just here to play a video game? What are the ways I go about dealing with the emotions and thoughts that are put into this thing? It's a weird one. I wonder how it's going to affect SNK and the development. You know, I hope that Metal Slug Tactics and future SNK games don't get affected in a negative way. I hope the workforce doesn't get affected in a negative way, right? Like, it's a weird one that, you know, when you filter it all the way back to specifically the last paragraph of the news story, where they talk about Saudi Arabia's recent history of human rights abuses, and like that coming down on like the Mohammed bin Salman thing of like capture or kill this journalist, right? And like that resulting in dismemberment and all this stuff, right? Like, it's scary, right? Like, a lot of that shit is scary, and a lot of that shit leaves me with like a fuck, I don't know how to deal with this thing, with this news sort of emotion to it. But putting it out there for the people that want to be in the know, of course, putting it out there for the people that might be fans of SNK or might be fans of Fatal Fury or Metal Slug and are looking forward to those games. Just a heads up for you, a quick PSA. Janet, I can't wait to see what the next Fatal Fury game looks like. I don't know, man. I don't have the transition for this one, but that is like, so honestly, far away. I was thinking real hard about it. I was like, I don't know how to make light of this.
Just keep going. It's fine.
Janet, if I want to know what's going on to Mom Grab Shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the KindaFunny Games daily show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, we got Outbreak Contagious Memories for Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Worm Run for Switch. Z-Warp for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Switch. New dates for you. This is from VGC. Sega and 2 Point Studios have announced that 2 Point Campus has been delayed by 3 months. The sequel to 2 Point Hospital was supposed to release on May 17th, but that has now been moved to August 9th. And then Konami's free-to-play eFootball's 1.0 patch finally arrives on April 14th, 2022. Now it's time for kindafunny.com/you're wrong. That's where you write in, let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong so we can correct it for those watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and on podcast services around the globe. Nanobiologist writes in and says, the new SpongeBob game is the Cosmic Shake. I don't remember getting that wrong, but
Yeah, me
there you
neither.
go.
But like maybe it wasn't clear when you were talking about like the older game versus like the newer one. So there you go.
SpongeBob SquarePants, the Harlem Shake. That's
Nano,
the next
time
one.
yourself out.
Nano, time yourself out. Tomorrow's hosts for Kinda Funny Games Daily are Tam and Tim for Tim TM Thursday. If you're watching this live on Twitch, after this is Mike and Barrett playing some of that MLB The Show. If you want to catch that stream later, you can subscribe to youtube.com/kindafunnyplays. Remember, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday live right here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. We have a Patreon post show for those that are subbed at the silver level of patreon.com/kindafunnygames. So stick around for that. Otherwise, until next time, Game Daily.